Welcome to another episode of the Loadout Music Podcast, featuring in-depth interviews with a wide range of music personalities, from rock and roll Hall of Famers to Grammy winners and today's rising stars. Recorded in St. Louis, Missouri, now here's your host, Aaron Perlitz of Atomic Junction.
Welcome back to the Loadout Music Podcast, the first episode of Season 6. I can't believe we're 6 seasons into this. As always, I'm your host, Aaron Perlitz. You know, a lot of people, as music have evolved, have said things like rock and roll has actually died. There is no more rock and roll, but there is rock music. Well, there's always some exceptions to the rule, and one of those exceptions is a band called the Band Feel out of St. Louis. And I am thrilled that we're going to kick off this season with Tyler Armstrong of the Band Feel. Tyler, thank you so much, man.
Thanks. I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, right on.
So you know, you and I met through a mutual acquaintance, a friend of the show, actually, Tobin Dale. And I have been paying really close attention to the Band Feel ever since then. And you guys are kind of like this band from a bygone era. I mean, it's not a lot of bands are making rock and roll music the way you guys make it today, right?
Well, that have broken through in any way, I should say. I mean, there are a good handful of bands that have, but there's a lot of great, just like any era of music, there's a lot of great bands that you've never heard of. It's not uncommon that younger people are playing this sort of music that nods to the past, and making present. But yeah, we're one of the few, I think, that are kind of have made that stride into the, oh, that line that people are looking to cross, not mainstream by any means, but some bits of notoriety.
Yeah, well, let's go back to tell me where Feel kind of got its start.
Mhm.
I know you are one of the founders. I think you and TJ, your drummer. How did the band come together?
Yeah, so it's kind of a period over about 10 years. My friend and partner with the studio we're at, Nick Bifano, he had a band. I joined the band. It kind of evolved into the band was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. It was Nick Bifano and the Innocents. So it was like Nick's band, and he was writing the tunes, but inevitably I was adding some tunes as well. And it just came to a point in Nick's life he had to focus on other things, and I was writing and writing and writing. So we made the decision to change the band name, and Nick eventually had some kids and left the group. We were kind of on hiatus for a while. Started playing with a couple other dudes during COVID, and had our coming out party after COVID sort of ended. So it's a pretty cliche story of it came from another thing but it's really been like a 10-year process this year, actually.
So I know that the band was originally founded in the St. Louis area. You guys
Mhm.
live in the town of Alton, but you've got two members who aren't from here. But notably, your lead singer Garrett is actually from Sacramento.
Yeah.
Um, how did you ultimately connect with him?
Man, so there's a lot of things with the band that are very 21st century, and one of the big ones is how we met Garrett and how we met Kadin, the
Flipping
bassist
through
in the
Tinder,
group.
right? That's how you met him.
Not quite.
Not quite.
You can call it Tinder for musicians. It
Yeah.
was Instagram, and
That is kind of a thing. It's funny 'cause I've met so many. The guy who produced our last record, I met it through
yeah,
Instagram. I mean,
that's how I met Tobin.
yeah, I
You
think
know?
you and I met through like Facebook. I mean,
Yeah.
you meet people through these ways. So that's how you met Garrett originally, through Instagram.
Yeah, it goes a little deeper than that. His friend Nico, who Garrett had played music with, was a fan of the group before Garrett is in it. And after we kind of announced, hey, we're looking for a singer, we had to just finally admit that couldn't find anybody locally that suited our needs entirely. Nico reached out. He's like, man, my good buddy, I've said since the time I heard you, like, he's the best singer for your band. And I was like, let me hear him. And I heard him. I was like, wow, like, he's cool. Um, and that was it. I messaged him and forced him on a phone call and convinced him to fly out here and try out for the band.
And, it's funny you said, "Wow." I've watched you and he particularly on video together,
Mhm.
and you both have this, wow factor between your musicianship and your ability to play guitar, and he's just got this magnetism, and he's got obviously powerhouse vocals, but there's something about the two of you on stage that there's this chemistry,
Mm,
and it's the kind of chemistry that it either takes 30 years to build, or it's just somehow it just seems to happen, and it seems like you guys haven't known each other for that long.
no.
Did you feel that chemistry when you guys like, early on when you were kinda getting to know each other?
Uh,
Or is it more the styles that just happen to complement each other really well?
well, first, thank you. It's very kind. Um, did Garrett and I gel the first time we met? No. We learned to get used to each other.
What was the initial take when you guys were first trying to kind of feel each other out?
I think Garrett's nervousness came off as a little wild. I'm from, not everybody from the Midwest is laid back, but I did grow up next to a cornfield, even though it was in the city, which
Yeah.
is even crazier to think. But um, Garrett's from California, and not talking like politically or anything like that. He's very outspoken, and I was like, whoa. So that took a while, but when we were playing together, I was like, all right, we can get used to each other. And it was just growing pains, but it was nothing bad. And um, I think Garrett and I's relationship is special. We my dad passed it's almost 4 years ago in April, and Garrett's brother-in-law, who was a father figure in his life, passed away. I think it might be going on 3 years. So that's something I call it the unfortunate club that people are in inevitably. So I think that connected us. Not all of our Garrett might be really into something that I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good. I might be really into something that Garrett's like, yeah, that's pretty good. Um, but we both just love music, and we're coming from a melodic world. He's very into the '90s, as far as like Chris Cornell's his dude. He loves all the other older '60s, '70s stuff, but Chris Cornell and Ray Charles are really his guys. So where I'm coming from is, like, we get compared to, like, sounding like the Black Crow, or people say ripping off the Black Crowes. I never listened to the Black Crowes growing up. Garrett did, for sure. But I think where we can get compared to them, and this relates to Garrett and I, is I'm listening to new music, sure, but, like, primarily '50s, '60s, '70s stuff, and it comes out in a certain way that's like, "Oh, that's reminiscent of this band or the Black Crowes," because 'cause we're listening to the same people. Um, so Garrett's version of that is that the people that were influenced by that music, he's listening to far more than I am, or I'm listening to the people that influence them,
I
if
gotcha.
that makes sense.
No, I totally get it. So, whereas, I mean, the Black Crowes were considered a ripoff of the Faces,
Yeah,
and that's what everyone was saying when the Black Crowes first uh, kind of hit the scene in the '90s. And ironically, Chris Robinson was pissed and obsessed with the Seattle sound,
yeah,
and he couldn't understand why bands were getting the notoriety from the West Coast, and particularly in the Seattle area, and they weren't getting the same kind of run. So it's kind of ironic. So essentially, it's you were paying attention to those who were influencing what he was obsessed with. Um, but you guys have found kind of, it sounds like, both personally and musically,
mhm.
you have kind of been able to find common ground to kind of like build something together.
Yeah,
Along with the I mean, obviously along with the rest of the band, but I mean, I imagine, you're writing most of the music, the compositions themselves, the
Primarily, yeah,
arrangement,
yeah.
and then is he bringing lyrics to the table, or how does that work? Or do you write lyrics as well?
I do, but ever since Garrett joined the band, I do it far less. I mean, there's songs that I have that it's like this is the song and I wrote the lyrics and melodies to it, and if it's cool, then we keep it. If it we have like a song called Goodbye Virginia that I had the music and I had a bridge. I was like, this definitely needs to stay here. But Garrett took the reins on the verses and the choruses. And but then there's songs like this tune we have a new one called Icarus. I don't know for I don't really care if we're supposed to talk about it, but um I wrote the music, he wrote the lyrics and melody. So there's kind of those versions. Garrett also writes music. He's not really a guy full compositions for this band. He writes his own stuff that's really cool. But so he might come with a little idea and I'll modify it and run with it. But yeah, Garrett and it, our relationship is special because I'll go back to Goodbye Virginia. Like I had the music and I told him I have an idea for how this should sound. And we both record everything we do. If we're sitting down with the guitar, like it's on our voice memos, and he'll record to his laptop whenever we sit down, and so we have the moment that we're figuring out every little part of that song, and the classic story. Like it was like half hour or whatever it was, and I've never had that with someone. I've always written songs by myself, and having someone like Garrett in those like butterfly in your stomach moments are like, wow, like that's a song, dude. It's like our relationship, the best moments of it are feel like the output is not even us. It's like that combination of us. It's like pretty much a spiritual thing. Like
Yeah.
it's very cool. And yeah.
It's a tough thing to find, because art can be so personal.
Hmm.
And, if you're gonna let someone fuck with something that's so personal to you, eh, it's a hard thing to do. So you've gotta have a remarkable amount of trust for that person.
Yeah. I mean, and we're pretty, open to most things. Like I res I really trust Garrett, for the most part with his vocals and melodic sense because it's extremely unique. Um, you know, just and he's taught me so much about singing, just knowing him a year and a half, but I can't believe it's only been that long. But yeah, and then with the music and stuff, he'll throw things out. Everyone in the band will throw things out like, well, what if you try this? And I definitely say, well, what if you try this and stuff. So it's not like we're not gonna there's very few hills we're gonna die on,
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, I think you kinda have to do that in music. I know that, when I write a piece, I'll bring it in. I'll have been playing it by myself for a month,
mhm,
and then I'll bring it into the band. And the way I'm approaching it is that I'm not going to tell them how to write their parts,
mhm,
and so I've got to have that kind of trust, or I don't want to say tolerance because I don't think tolerance is a good word for that, but you've got to have that understanding that this may change to some degree in terms of the way that we're going to lay down drums, or the bass is going to really kind of give it those lower tones.
mhm.
And I mean that's a hard thing to do though. When you bring it's like, here's my baby, don't fuck it up, but something's going to change.
Yeah, but it's a really crazy feeling to be able to trust everyone in the group. I mean, people could probably say that I'm spearheading the ideas and things like that, but and I'm probably the most vocal about, well, let's try this, but I don't need to. Like it's not an all the time thing, and I welcome that for myself. It's Yeah, I don't really know how to explain it except like they're my musical best friends.
Yeah.
Like, and you just trust your boys, you know what I mean? It's 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 a it's wild. It's cool to hang out with people like that musically.
So the only debates that you and Garrett really have are who has better hair.
No,
No,
uh, no, it's it's
his hair has no body. Yours does. Come on,
yeah.
man.
Well, I have a couple suggestions you could do, but no, I mean, if we're getting like deep without getting too deep, Garrett and I just had to learn how to accept each other's things that we. My dad always he had a thing he always said. He said, "Take what you like about your mom and I, and leave what you don't." And you kind of got to apply that to your friends sometimes. Like,
No
you
doubt.
know, well, I don't like that you do this, Tyler. I don't like you do this, Garrett. And we always handle it quietly. It's no arguing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
discussion based. But it's an important relationship to keep nice because he and I are you know, the most married in the band when it comes to the music side.
Yeah, I mean, people don't think of a band this way, but you're business partners. I mean, you're business partners, you're artistic partners,
Yeah.
and you've got to find a way to make it work. And, which leads me into something I wanted to ask you about. So I've been struck by obviously the potential of the band, but also the kind of fast rise of the band. And the road is littered with bands that, shoulda, coulda, woulda
Mm,
been great, but they couldn't figure the shit out.
mhm.
Oftentimes, we talked about the Black Crowes before, you know, they're back together again, but it's because they're broke. They're not back together again because the brothers couldn't coexist. If you go read the book Hard to Handle by the band's founding drummer, I mean, the whole premise of the book is, what the Black Crowes could have been had they stayed together, had they not kept undermining themselves as a band. How do you, I mean, obviously you're not even there yet, but how do you, make sure you kind of keep that together and appreciate what you've got? Because you guys have there's something special that you guys have. How do you make sure you don't mess that up?
Well, again, thank you. That's very nice. I think we view ourselves as special, but it's always interesting hearing it. Um, so thank you. I have this thing, whether it's with friends, any relationships, parents, girlfriends, wives, what have you. Hopefully it's wife and girlfriend separate, but any
Yeah, the mob did it. You can do it.
no, I have no interest in
What do they
that.
call him? Guman? I don't
But
know.
but is the only expectation in this world is to treat somebody as good as you can. And there's a lot of things that go into that. I treated you as well as I can. Well, you still stole from me. That it it goes deeper than my surface level statement, but um that statement is just applied. I try my best to everything I do with anything, but with the band is the only expectation is that you treat us out of respect and the band as much as you can. And if it works out with each other, it works out. And if it doesn't, at least you can say that, well, I did the right moral thing. So I also feel that keeps ego down too, or hopefully it does. I mean, we're pretty still like new to this whole thing. Like things are moving, but they haven't blown to the ethers at this point. So to answer the question, I don't know, but it is an interesting thing. You said business partners. We've definitely found that out over the past 8 months, and it can be humans are humans when money's involved, when
Yeah, everything
all that.
changes.
Yeah, it's
Or it
so you
can.
just have to be honest with each other and realize, just like you do in any other relationship, people change over time, but that doesn't mean that we have to view changes as negatives. As far as if we can foster and cultivate these relationships into just being cool to each other,
Yeah.
and it should be okay. There's a lot more to it, life, than just playing music and like hanging out with your friends. So if we can make that part good, hopefully the rest can be as well.
So what's it been like this last 6 months? I mean, you guys went on the road with Honey Honey, and that was, I mean, a big tour for you guys. Was that kind of the first big tour of this band, this era of the band?
I mean, it depends what someone calls a tour, but it was our first tour, at all. We've done, like, 3 show runs. We had done 2 of those with Blackberry Smoke. We did 3 shows with Dirty Honey in July as well, and then one-off shows, but no, it was definitely our first tour, and it was 8 weeks. So
Yeah, I mean, it's long.
it was like a tour.
Well, I remember because you and I were kind of messaging each other during it. We were trying to figure out a time that we could actually do this.
Yeah, I couldn't
And
think straight, man. It
yeah,
was
and I
crazy.
knew your life was insane because I was looking at the posters at all the tour dates, and I'm like, man, this is that. I mean, that's hard when you have to be at it every night and you got to be
Mhm,
sharp. And what was that like? I mean, that many tour dates with Dirty Honey, and I mean, you're also whenever you're opening for another act, you're trying to make sure that you're just killing it for
mhm.
the audience, for them, for yourselves. What's talk a little bit about that experience because again, 8 weeks is a long time to be able to do that.
Dude, it was. In some ways, it seems way longer, in some ways, it doesn't seem that long. Right now, it feels like it was a year ago. It's very odd. Um, we were just discussing we did this gig and before we had management or anything in Cape Girardeau at this place called Scout Hall. Um, we really like that place, and we just realized the other day that was like, what, I don't know when May was at this point, 8 months ago, something like that. So, we were like, "Dang, that felt like 2 years ago." So, that's one thing I got from the tour. That's kinda going on a bunny trail. The tour itself, it was just insane for a lot of reasons. One, because it's just the normal things of life, like, um, we actually stopped at my mom's house in Springfield, Illinois, before we went to the first show in East Moline, of all places, and
Who doesn't dream of playing East Moline?
I didn't think I would have, 'cause I played baseball there. I was like, "Huh, East Moline," but it was an awesome venue, and it was, like, packed out. It was sick, but we were leaving, and whenever we crossed paths growing up, Lincoln, Illinois, I knew we were either going to Bloomington, Chicago, or Peoria. That means I was not going home.
Mm.
So, for baseball or family trip or whatever it was. So when we left my mom's house going to East Moline and past Lincoln, Illinois, I was like, my stomach kinda dropped. I was like, "Oh, I can't go back, man. I'm, like, out for, like, 8 weeks."
Yeah.
So that was the first crazy thing that happened, and just
Was it a nerve thing? I mean, where you're like, wow, this is kind of
well, full transparency is like, do I wanna do this? Do I wanna do this with my life? Is
you
this
soiled your shorts. You shit your pants
not
totally.
qui not that time,
Not that's
but
wait till you get my age. You do
oh
it
boy,
on a regular basis.
if you only knew. But but, yeah, it's just one of those things. I love music, and I have this other thing that music is a part of my life. It's not my life. That doesn't mean that it's not my passion. It doesn't mean, I use music to be a vehicle for other things. So it was just the first moment I had of like, oh man, you're doing this and you probably know what's going to happen from this tour. And after this tour, you got to write more songs. People are going to hear those. What if they don't dig them? All this kind of stuff. Jimmy Page has a great quote. He says, I don't have any or I don't believe in myself, but I believe in what I'm doing. And it was kind of one of those moments that it's like, well, this is the real world, dude, and you've been working for this for most of your life. So that was probably the craziest moment
Yeah.
as far as like
Like this is it. I've been preparing for this all my life.
existential.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this. You kind of alluded to a really interesting point. Most bands, when they make it big, the songs they're riding on, they've probably been playing for 10 years already. You
Yeah.
know, that first album might have taken 10 years to get to
Yeah.
where it is. So you talked a little bit about the nervousness of like, hey, now I gotta go write more songs because
Hmm.
you're creating this expectation for yourself. Is that nerve-wracking? Is that exciting? Is that something you're confident that, hey, that's what's next. That's the deal. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm choosing to do. Like, how does that make you feel?
Well, one, anything could end tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I don't think of it as
Not your hair, but anything else.
yeah, hopefully not.
Let's hope not.
But
Mine's going away. So
but so I don't view it as like we're gonna have this. If I'm being completely transparent, this is I feel I've heard and read this and with autobiographies and stuff. It's kind of a common trend of people who are um have a goal in mind and eventually succeed is a weird word, but have success with that goal. A lot of times they don't have a question in their mind that they are able to do it. I don't really have a question in my mind that I'm able to do it. I didn't have a question that we were ever going to go on tour and do this kind of stuff. But now it's happening. And we were in the studio these past couple weeks working on some new tunes, and I just could not nail this one song for the life of me. As a guitarist, especially a rock guitarist, we always tend to rush slightly, but this is way off. I just couldn't do it. And I was getting in my head and I kind of realized I was like, I was thinking more so about the outcome of this rather than doing it right now. The looking way
in the
too,
moment,
yeah, like literally, like I just could not play on time. It was so bad. But I eventually came when this first thing we did this last week and I was able to get in one take, no edits. But just the thought of like subconsciously and then consciously of people are gonna hear this now, like, cause I know people are listening to our music at this point,
yeah,
and we're gonna go on another tour, and then more we have, like, dates all throughout the year already. It's awesome, but it's like, "Whoa, dude." Like, people are gonna keep listening to you, like, it better be good.
yeah,
So, I'm not nervous about it, I'm excited about it, but, you can't be excited every second of the day.
yeah,
There it's a job.
yeah,
Super awesome. It friggin' rocks, literally, but that's just kind of where it's at. It's I'm ready for it. I that drive past Lincoln, Illinois, I kind of answered myself like, okay, yeah, this is what you dig.
Is the rest of the band you're ready for it? Is the rest of the band ready for it?
Oh, probably even more so than I am.
Yeah,
Because yeah, and what's interesting about that is like, it's not necessarily this thing, this exact truth, but like a lot of people might look and see that the band is my baby. It's mostly my songs. I have had the original vision for it, whatever. I don't exactly see it as that. With that said, I can know that there's an identify a leadership role involved with that. So it is an interesting thing, and I'll say it's probably a really good thing that the people I'm working with are 80,000,000% in.
that's not a real percentage. 80,000,000%.
Yeah,
I don't believe that.
which is 150% in, where
You can
I'm
only be 100%. That's it. You can't be
so they're
100.
100% in,
Okay, they're
and I'm
100% in. So
100%, but just whatever might be slightly lower than that that's
you might
not
be like
under.
99.95.
No, it's higher than that because 'cause I'm
Okay,
all in,
you're all in.
but, they're even more so,
So
and
somehow they're more than 100%.
yeah,
Okay.
and, that's really great because those are my partners,
Yeah.
and they will inevitably have moments where they wanna go home, or they're missing home, or they're tired of this and tired of that, and we just pick each other up. Um, that's the friendship aspect of
Yeah.
it. The business
The
aspect
brotherhood.
yeah, the business aspect goes, everyone's replaceable. But the friendship aspect, which you should lean more into, is, yeah, but you should be out here. You should be doing this with
Yeah.
us. So, yeah. So again, I'm not nervous. I'm excited, but it's a weird thought being seen. It's not necessarily why I'm involved with it, but it is quite nice to be respected. I'll say that.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but for me, there's nothing more than I enjoy than I like we were talking earlier about the process of bringing a song into like the studio and just working it out.
Mhm.
To me, that is actually my favorite part about the music experience with my band,
Mm.
and that is just working together towards refining
Mhm.
that piece of art that you're trying to see what comes of it.
Mhm.
Um, what is your favorite part of that? Is it the songwriting? Is it being out on the road and just like shredding, shredding a lick
Yeah.
on stage? What is it for you?
Well, each of them have really awesome things about them. Excuse me. Writing a song is sick because it's, I would say it's I don't know how to describe it. It's not a high per se in my opinion, but it's
It's a cool feeling when you know you've written a cool
yeah, it's
song.
the initial thing is like, wow, because I can hear what this is gonna be like. That's great. Putting the song together with the band is really cool hearing it. Recording it's really awesome too because it's like you hear it and it usually comes out a little bit different than you
Yeah.
thought, but it's still inevitably you, the
Yeah.
band. And then the live aspect, seeing people sing along to the songs is stupid cool. I must admit that.
It's pretty amazing.
There was a show, we were in Wilmington, Delaware in the fall, this place called The Queen. And it was a really cool, like theater kind of esque deal. And we got to the song Goodbye Virginia, which had been out for a month or so, I guess, at this point. And dude, when we got to that first chorus, when it's just Garrett and I, he's singing, and I'm strumming the big chords on the Rickenbacker, and we have ambient mics with our in-ears so we can hear the room, like, playing wise, but that was the first time we heard the room that everyone was singing, "Goodbye, Virginia," with it, and Garrett and I looked at each other because it was, like, nearly startling because it was, like, so loud, but it was dude, that gave me mega chills. That was
When people
so
actually
cool.
know the songs that you poured your heart into.
Yeah, because it's almost like, "Oh, it worked." In one sense, that's the business side. It worked, but the spiritual side is these people feel what I feel in this moment.
Yeah.
So so that's really cool. I would say, um, Garrett's favorite part is probably crafting the song and recording it,
Yeah.
more so crafting it. TJ's favorite part is playing out, for sure. Um, it's tough for me because I love both a lot.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
as far as what I enjoy most with the experience of being in a band and all the things that you said, I think I like being on the road, but I really like being off the road after being on the road. 'Cause I sit back and I go, "Wow, okay, cool. How
So
could"
that kind of reflection of looking back at what has just happened.
Oh, man, yeah, how can we make it better? And also, like, it's almost a reward coming home because like, definitely because, like, I get to see the people I love and my other friends, and we get to talk about it and, kinda have that normal sense of life after having these cool high moments, and
It sounds like to a degree though that, and I don't say this in a bad way, that you're kind of never satisfied. You're always looking
yeah.
at like it's kind of like some golfers, all they think about is the shots they missed.
Mhm.
Um, but it's like, you're always looking at that could have been better. This could have been done better. We could have been tighter here. And that's how we're gonna focus for the next tour, is that making sure that we improve on A, B, C, and D and E.
Yeah, I would say I mean, overall, we're not promised satisfaction in this life with anything. Um, but I would say that I'm not satisfied ever, but I am content. And being content is um pretty awesome. Like if even though I'm not satisfied, I'm okay like with it. My big thing is if this ended tomorrow, I would be okay. And I'm not talking financially. I'm talking like as a person. Yeah, I'd like for it to continue, but it's okay if it doesn't.
Yeah.
Um, so it's a weird thing. It's interesting you bring it up like that. Like, no, anything can be better. It's pretty good though. Like, and that's cool. So I told the line of that. I was growing up. I remember watching when the Steelers played. I can't remember who in the Super Bowl, and they won. And there was like a ESPN like what's the show called 30 for 30 or something
Yeah.
like that. And I think it was one of those, and I was watching it, and they were gonna win. They knew it, and I think it was Jerome Bettis and Hines Ward were talking to Bill Cowher, the coach.
Great mustache.
Super good mustache. Still has a great mustache, from what I understand. And they're saying to him like, "Yeah, like, hey, are you hyped about this?" And he's like, "We're gonna have to work on this and practice, blah, blah, blah," and they're like, "We're about to win the Super Bowl, man," and but that was his thing, like, he was on to the next thing. So I could kind of understand that.
The mindset.
I can, but with all that said, you can ask any of my friends, like, I'm pretty uh, I have a good understanding of everything's cool. After my dad passed, I had the moment where I needed to create my own foundation, and creating my own foundation, was quite influenced by his existence and my mom's existence, but a lot my dad in this regard of, um, you do your best and that's all you can ask of yourself, and no expectations except do your best and treat people well. So it's a weird thing, man. It's weird to because when I say it out loud, people go, "Oh man, it kind of sounds like you're not really you don't really want to do this sometimes." And I'm like, "No, I just am so okay with music being part of my life and not my reason for existing, that whatever happens is cool." But I would love to win a Grammy. I would love to make a lot of money so I can be comfortable and keep doing this. Sure.
So if this did go away, if it all, you've mentioned it twice now, if it all went away tomorrow, then what would you do?
Well, we have studio here. I'd pour even like way more of my focus into that. I have other skills in life where I don't really anymore, but I sold vintage guitars and I know how to find them and how to sell them and things like that. Um, there's a lot of things I can still do related to music.
Yeah.
I I wouldn't be making a ton of money at first, getting, building up that client base again, but it's I just have a lot of interest. I would love to live in the mountains and like be a ranch keeper. That'd be awesome. I have a lot of things I'm interested in, so I'd be okay.
You'd be all right.
I'd probably.
All right. Well, I'm going to presume you're not going away anytime soon from the music scene. So, tell us. Let's get you out of here on this. Tell us what is next for the band. What is the? You said you've already got some dates booked throughout the year,
Mhm.
but really, what is the next frontier look like for the band?
Well, man, we're at the point in our career with the band where the whole I've heard the saying and I might have came up with it. I don't know. But you hear things similar of less gigs, more money. That's how you know someone's huge. You like Rolling Stones can play 1 gig a year and they can be fine. But we're at the point right now where we're playing a ton of shows, still getting our name out there, doing our own first headlining tour starting in February through March. Um, but also opening up for bigger bands, just
Yeah.
still doing that.
So you're still building the brand of
Totally.
the band.
Yeah, and I never wanna stop doing that. It just might look differently as time goes on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we're just playing a ton of gigs, man, quality gigs. There's quite a few festivals that haven't been announced yet that, like, we're you can also ask my friends this, I have a hard time showing excitement sometimes just because I'm so cool with whatever, like, that's really cool, like, let's do it. But, we have a couple festivals in particular when booking or management reached out that booking had booked them. I'm like, "Whoa, that's like a next step sort of
Yeah.
deal." So, we've got that, we'll release new music. I'm sure we'll have another release after this release.
Yeah.
I don't know when that'll be scheduled. I'm gonna guess late spring, early summer for the next one, as the full format of the release. There'll be singles prior with, a bunch of videos and all that. It's a really fun period of time, man. Like, it's, tiring as crap, but, um, Cameron, who has Shift Agency and is behind the camera right now, we're talking all the time about ideas, whether it's short films with him or short film format with the band, music videos, all this sort of stuff, man. It's such a blessing to be surrounded by world-class artistic people, even in the town of Alton, Illinois. It's amazing, and, but yeah, man, that's kind of where it's at with the band. We're just going, and, everyone's pretty excited about it, it seems, and social media, the engagement's been great, and, people saying can't wait for the shows and all that and new music, and, I don't know, man. It's a cool time. As much as it seems like I'm cool with anything, would much prefer doing what we're doing right now and seeing that grow. And like I said, it's very, very cool to connect with people in the way we are.
Right on. Tyler Armstrong, they are the band Feel. They will be coming to a city near you for a show, and look for new music and headlining Jazz Fest, playing the Sphere in Las Vegas,
Heck yeah.
and everything else. But thank you so much for being on the Load Up, man.
Thank
It's
you,
been
man.
great to start the season with you, and I'm a huge fan, and just really excited to see where you guys go.
Awesome. Well, same to you, man. Thank you.
Right on.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Loadout Music Podcast, hosted by Atomic Junction frontman Aaron Perlett. Find all of our episodes and more at loadoutmusic.com.